Thank you for joining us, and here are some of the reports we're filing at this hour. I am Frank Omalape, and now bearing any change, President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to present the 2023 appropriation to the National Assembly in September. The Director General Budget Office of the Federation, Ben Akabweze, disclosed this on Monday in Abuja. Akabweze was represented by the Director of Expenditure Socials in the Budget Office, Fabian Ogbu, said the federal government under the Buhari administration is determined to ensure consistent and timely preparation, submission and approval of annual budget as part of its public finance management reforms. He said the 2023 budget is also being prepared in tandem with extant federal government policies and guidelines as articulated in the 2023 budget core circular and other relevant laws and regulations. Away from there now, the federal government has agreed to concession a satellite internet broadband project as well as a museum and planetarium project. To this end, the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, ICRC, has issued two full business case certificates to the Federal Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. A statement from the ICRC released yesterday in Abuja said the project will be executed through the National Space Research and Development Agency, and are expected to generate over 48 billion naira in revenue and create over 10,000 direct and indirect jobs, and also said the fight against insecurity while providing internet penetration to rural areas. Receiving the FBCs, the Minister of Science and Technology and Innovation, Dr. Adeleke Mamora, citing Dubai, said the planetarium and museum project are some of the projects deployed by the United Arab Emirates in Dubai to generate a pool of funds through tourism. He said with at little as 0.2% broadband penetration, the government under President Muhammadu Buhari was in a hurry to bring the satellite broadband project to completion in the next 6 months. While presenting the certificate, the ICRC DG Ohiani said the two projects will bring a lot of employment opportunities to Nigerians, generate revenue, and also support the government's fight against insecurity. And now the Central Bank of Nigeria has ordered banks in Nigeria to pay savings deposit accounts an interest rate of at least 4.2%. This was contained in a circular according to the Apex Bank. The hike in savings interest rate, which is effective from August 1, was made in light of the return to complete normalcy after taking into account the current macroeconomic conditions. The Apex Bank said following the return to full normalcy and considering the prevailing macroeconomic conditions, it has become necessary to effect an upward adjustment of the interest rate payable on local currency savings deposit. The CBN directly increased the MPR from 13% to 14% to combat inflation, which reached a 17-year high of 19.64% in July 2022. And our Nigeria's inflation rate jumped to a 17-year high of 19.64%. This showed a consistent increase month-on-month basis in prices of goods and services, as well as basic commodities like food, fuels, and transportation, among others. This is according to the National Bureau of Statistics in its latest Consumer Price Index on Monday, as food inflation went up by 22.02%. Macroeconomist Gospel Belly has, however, reacted to these, enumerating factors responsible for the continuous spike, such as structural issues, unstable currency, and a hike in diesel price due to the Russia-Ukraine war, amongst others. While noting that the July figure isn't news to him, Obeli stressed that the CBN's continuous increase of the monetary policy ratio, MPR, isn't a sustainable way to fight inflationary pressure. Obeli spoke earlier in the day on iBrandTV's Business Breakfast Show.
Structural issues that have led to, different layers of leakages as well, and that has firmly permeated into the economy. And because you have structural issues, you also have a situation where the currency is not stable, either is it competitive within the scheme of things. And since the exchange Bank has tried to use interest rates to curb inflation, but then again, I mean, it's just necessarily one solution out of many mix of solutions that must happen. All right, so you're likely to cause more problem or worsen the situation of things if you're looking at the solutions from one tool or one instrument. And that's when we find ourselves today. Inflation is worsening because we are not approaching the fundamentals of the problem. We need to be counterproductive because, like I mentioned earlier, within the times we're living, and Nigeria being a very vulnerable nation in terms of its economy now, you cannot use a conventional economics tool, to deal with the inflation or the increased prices that we are facing at the moment. The central bank would made an argument and said that policies, it takes time for policies to work. It takes time for policies to yield positive results. But we're also saying that consistently the wrong policy move will also lead to wrong and poorer or worsening state of things as we move on, as we progress into the fiscal year. And that's what we're saying. The inflation structure we have today is as a result of the one Nigerian structural issue. Number two, there's a Russian-Ukraine war that's eating heavily on increased commodity prices, and all of those dynamics. There's a COVID effect and all of these things. By the time you factor these dynamics in, interest rates alone cannot be sufficient. It's not even a necessary condition, cannot even be sufficient.
And in the meantime, Nigeria's electricity supply crisis could worsen from Wednesday as the organized labor has directed workers in the power sector to down tools and commence an indefinite strike over pending labor issues with the Transmission Company of Nigeria. The National Union of Electricity Employees on Tuesday picketed the headquarters of the Transmission Company of Nigeria in Abuja. They complain about the alleged failure of the federal government to pay the entitlement of former staff of the defunct Power Holding Company of Nigeria, PHCN, in December 2019. The aggrieved workers under the aegis of the National Union of Electricity Employees, NUE, said it's a prelude to an indefinite strike action expected to commence on August 17. In a circular entitled Call to Action, the General Secretary of the Association, Joe Ajero, directed them to ensure total compliance, vowing to paralyze operations of TCN nationwide over anti-masses activities. This means the nation's electricity supply crisis could worsen from Wednesday following this impasse. And now the Securities and Exchange Commission has restated that the protection of investors in the capital market is a top priority of the Commission. The Executive Commission Operations of the SEC, Dayo Obiso, will receive a delegation from the Securities and Exchange Commission Zimbabwe in Abuja on Tuesday, stated that the Commission has a robust rulemaking process that is meant to take care of current issues as well as create an enabling environment for innovation to thrive in the capital market. This is stated will aid the stimulation of growth in the economy, attract more investors to the market as well as ensure that investors are protected. Obiso disclosed that SEC Nigeria has a dual mandate to regulate and develop the capital market in Nigeria, stating that both roles are very delicate in a bid to ensure that the market is attractive for investors. The SEC Executive Commission ordered that the National Assembly is currently in the process of amending the Investment and the Securities Act 2007 to make it in tune with the current realities. And now the latest data on the amount spent on subsidizing premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol, seen in Abuja on Monday, show that the government subsidized the commodity with about 1.59 trillion naira between January and June 2022. It was also gathered that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited pumped about 54.6 billion naira into refinery rehabilitation during the 6-month period. Figures obtained from the NNPC Limited's presentation to the Federation Account Allocation Committee meeting for July 2022 show that subsidies on petrol were implemented in June. An analysis of the July presentation to FAC showed that fewer subsidy or under recovery value shortfall as described by NNPC Limited rose to 1.593 trillion naira in the first half of the year. Figures from the report indicated that the amount spent as subsidies month on the commodities in January, February and March was about 210.3 billion naira, 419.7 and 245.7 billion naira respectively. A total of 271.5, 327.1 and 319.18 billion naira were spent as subsidy in April, May and June respectively. Meanwhile, the company's July presentation to FAC stated that a sum of 391.5 billion naira was the gross domestic crude oil gas revenue for June 2022.